Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. We are in the series of as we get to the general elections for the United States on November 8th, 2022. We are in the series to encourage the community to vote and mobilize the vote. The importance of the vote, why Asian Americans are not as participant as usual like the rest of the country. So we're going to talk today to a specialist who is expert in mobilizing the Asian American votes, Kamalakar Shenai. Please welcome Mr. Cam. Cam immigrated to the United States from India some 46 years ago to get his master's in mechanical engineer from UC Berkeley. Cam is a Central Florida resident since 2014. He moved here from upstate New York, where he spent about 30 years in corporate America. He was the head of marketing for North America for Xerox Corporation, then moved to Sutherland Global Services as its chief client officer before retiring. He also has an MBA from RIT. In his retirement, he serves on several boards. He is on Dean Society at UCF Medical School. He's on the Kidney Advocacy Committee for National Kidney Foundation. Now he's a co-founder of ACT, Asian Pacific Islanders Coming Together. So let me now invite Cam to share his thoughts on his latest initiative. Mr. Cam, please welcome to the show. And let's start with, how did you all started with the ACT and what is ACT? Please explain to our viewers how it all started for you.
Sure, but before that, I would like to thank you for inviting me. I want to say good evening to my friends in America on the East Coast, good afternoon to the people on the West Coast, and of course, a good morning to my family and friends in India. So thanks again. I'm delighted to be here, and you're starting off with a very good question as to why ACT, A-C-T. The answer is pretty simple, actually. Interestingly, I was invited by a congressman for a roundtable, and it was for Asian Americans. And I'll briefly tell you what happened, because that's the trigger that got me thinking about doing something. She asked me, Cam, what is your opinion? So I told her that I'm actually fed up with what's happening in Washington. And I said, when one hand says something, a party, no matter how logical it is, how makes common sense, but this party will not agree. And when this party comes up with something very logical, something that is doable, this party will say they don't agree just because it is said by the other party. And I said, I'm fed up with this impasse, this dysfunction. I am in the fourth quarter of my innings. I'm 73 years old, and I've had it. So that's how the meeting started. And it got into some really, really good discussions. The outcome of all that was there were two other Asians in the audience. And we, three of us got together and we said, talk is cheap. Let's do something. And that's how we came up with this idea of ACT. And as the conversation goes forward, I will tell you what are the dynamics and what are the inside stories about ACT. So that's how we started.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, that you took the action right then and there. You guys got together collectively to pick it up the sticks. Let's do it right now. That's really interesting. So once you started the ACT, what was your mission and what you've been doing last year, and how are we getting ready for the 2024?
Sure. So first of all, we started in June. So our movement, somebody called it a project. I said, it's not a project. Project has a beginning, project has an end. This has no end. We are going to keep doing it until this gets fixed. So what is our mission? Our mission is pretty simple. We want to engage, we want to educate, and we want to empower the Asian community and amplify their voice. And how do we do that? Is through voter participation. So that's our very simple mission. Get voter participation. We don't really care whether you vote for this party or that party. You have to vote. and let the result be the result. But unless we go and do that, we're just talking.
So what issues do you, I don't know if I'm on mute. Okay, I'm not on the mute. Okay, trying to figure out this thing. So what issues do you feel are the most important to Asian Americans in this election, particularly, which is coming up in next 1 week?
Sure, I'll talk about that in a minute, but just before that, I want to give you a perspective. So
Okay.
that when people say we don't participate, what does that mean? What percentage participates? So I had a chance to meet with the supervisor of elections. I'm in Florida, I'm in Orange County, Florida, which is one of the largest counties in Florida. And just as a reference, there are 67 counties in Florida. We are one of them with a population of 1.4 million in total. Now let me come to the Asians. Couple of facts. Nationally, we are about 25 million. Okay. We when I say we, I mean the Asians, we contribute 1.3 trillion to the economy. If you look at our education, we are one of the highly educated demographic in the United States.
Correct.
If you look at our median income, Indian median income is about $127,000 a year. The national median income is in the 50,000 range, 50, 60,000. So we are highly educated. We earn high wages. We contribute significantly. We are 7% of the population. And yet, if you look at our government representation, it is 0.9%. Just think about it. 7% of the population, 0.9% is the representation. Why is that? The answer is very simple. The answer is we are the least participative ethnic minority when it comes to voter participation. Okay? So that's how simple it is. Now, you asked me about what are the issues. So we conducted a survey. And in the survey, there are 4 or 5 things that came out. One was hate crimes. Second thing was inflation, not in any particular order, but these are the highly brought up issues. Another thing was education. The fourth thing was immigration. So all these issues come out. However, in order for them to get implemented, we have to elect leaders whose ideas are consistent with our ideas. To do that, we have to vote. So I have an interesting thought process. When we Asians come together, Indians in particular, because I'm very familiar with them, we sit at a dining table and we talk politics. And there are all these smart people with a solution for immigration. There is a solution for climate change. There is a solution for everything. I've started to say, hey, you're telling me that is not helping. In order for these thoughts to be conveyed and be amplified, you have to go and vote. But we don't vote. Another statistic that absolutely blew my mind was in 2018, there was a midterm election. Just 4 years ago. There were in Orange County, I may be off by a few digits, there are 46,301, kind of that number, of registered voters. That means they were eligible to vote, but they had registered. They had taken the trouble of registering to vote. Do you know how many people voted? 9.6%. That is 4,000 or something.
Wow.
To say it another way, 40,000 of us, 40,000 said, hey, we are not going to vote. Okay, now, why is that important? Important because the Senate election was won by a senator by 10,200 votes. And we left in one county, in one ethnic group, 40,000 votes out there. The governor's race was won by I think it was 32,000 votes. We left
Wow.
40,000 votes begging.
Mm.
So those are the statistics, those are the issues, but the bottom line is this: we have to vote.
Yeah. Well, what can we do about that?
Sure.
How to mobilize
So,
that vote?
yeah, that's a good question. That's what ACT is all about. So before that, let me just explain one thing. People have asked me, why aren't they voting? I mean, we're all smart people. We know voting is the right thing to do. So why aren't we voting? So we asked several people, we did some surveys, and the answers were coming back. One thing was, my vote doesn't count. What's the big deal? I'm one among millions, right?
Yeah.
My vote doesn't count. Second thing they say is, we don't know the candidates. Okay. Third thing they say is, I'm too busy. I'm too busy with my work. I'm bringing up a child. So those are the reasons. So there is no real solid reason not to vote, other than I call it apathy. We just say, hey, somebody will do whatever, but we won't vote. Sometimes I call it laziness. I don't know which one is true. But for every objection, there is a logical answer. What do you mean you don't have time to vote? We have mail-in voting, which is going on right now. We have early voting. We are on the day of election voting. There are several drop boxes. That's just an excuse. Secondly, my vote doesn't count. I'll give a very specific example of what happened in the primaries on August 23rd this year. One of the districts was won by a candidate by 55 votes. Okay. And I met this individual, and he told me, if he had received 5 votes less, 5, it would have gone into a runoff. Those 5 votes prevented the runoff, and he was elected as the party's nominee. And now he's running for the midterm election. That's how important it is. So those are some of the things, reasons people say they don't vote. So we said we're going to, first of all, educate, right? Remember, educate, engage, and empower. So in terms of engagement, we had a town hall in June of this year. We are not years old, we are babies. When you look at the movement, started in June. I almost remember the date, I think it was June 27th.
Yeah.
And in the town hall, a couple of us spoke, and one of the things I mentioned was, we keep saying we need a voice, we need a voice. Then I shared the statistics with them, the same one that I'm talking about here. And I said, we think we have a voice, but actually we have a whisper. And that whisper has to become a roar.
Yes.
R-O-A-R. Whisper to a roar, right? That's it. Let's take whisper to a roar. Interestingly, in that town hall, there was a reporter from Orlando Sentinel. And I did get a chance to talk to her. We talked for a little while. And 2 days later, the cover story in Orlando Sentinel was Asian Americans taking whisper to a roar. And it was an article, 2 pages. And remember, we want to engage people. That means we have to get noticed. So that was the first, I call it, victory in believing that our message was resonating. Mm-hmm. Usually when the news media thinks it is resonating, they print it or they put it on TV. So we were the small group of three of us were very happy that happened. And then the group grew larger, and we call them the core group. Now we are 13 of us.
Yeah. Okay.
And when we say Asians, Asians include Indians, they include Vietnamese, Cambodians, Chinese. So there are 18 different sections within it. Now, Indians and Chinese happen to contribute 47% of the population. So we are a larger group, but we want to give voice to all of us. whether you're from Pakistan or India or doesn't matter. We are together. So that was the engagement part. That's how it started. I'll just pause and I'll let you ask me a question.
No, I was very curious to ask this question particularly. It is really, really hard, especially in the elderly community, to convince them to vote. It's the same concept. Why does it my just one vote will make a difference? It's a concept usually in a lot of our communities, especially in the Indian community. I have to struggle with my own parents, telling them to go vote. I mean, that what makes a difference? It's a big deal. Obviously, they do have a time. Don't say that they don't have time. They do have a time.
Right.
I find the similar thing with the youngsters who are in a college. I do talk to few people actually yesterday and today. Did you guys vote? Are you planning to vote? So like, no, not much interested. Did you register? Yes, of course they registered. Why are you not voting? I don't know. I'm not much interested. I don't know the candidates. How do we empower particularly either the elderly community or the youngsters? How can we empower them early in their age to start looking at it? And most of them, they're not even immigrants. Elderly, I understand that they're immigrants. They came here, they know that it is important for them to be a part of it. But younger generation who don't have much immigration issues directly affected to them, but it is important for them to know that the power of the vote, but they're not much excited to vote. It's kind of two different ways, but I want to see that what's your approach and
Sure.
What are you trying to do about it particularly?
Excellent question. And I'll take one issue at a time. First, let me start with the elderly because that's where you start. And I'm elderly. I'm 73. So when I talk to elderly people, they kind of tend to listen. On the other two co-founders, they are in the 30s and early 40s. So we have a combination of what I call veteran experience with youthful exuberance. Okay. So now let me answer this question specifically by giving you an example of an interview I had with one of the channels, local channels. And the interviewer asked me, at this age, why are you doing it? You had a successful corporate career, you can just relax. So I said to her, and which I'm going to share here, I told her that I have 4 grandchildren. Starting at one is now 7 months old. This next one is his birthday today. He's 3 years old on Halloween day. And then I have twin children who are 16, they drive cars. So I said to her that I know for a fact, in year 2060, I won't be around. But I know for a fact that my grandchildren will be around and my children will be around. So what I'm doing is it going to turn everything around tomorrow? No. But by the time they grow up, I want them to live in a country that is more inclusive, which is more welcoming diversity. And that movement starts now. And I said to her that maybe when they are 16, they might say that, hey, my grandpa did something. He voted. So that's it. And all of us have grandchildren, my age group, most of them. Do it for them. Don't do it for yourself. So that is my approach with the elderly. And we are providing language support and we are providing transport support and all that. Those go with it. But there has to be an emotional connection to vote. So that's my emotional plea to them. Okay. Yeah. Now let me come to I call them the 18 to 24 group demographic, which you were just talking about. Students.
Yeah.
Last month, in October, this one, I'm already into November. We had a meeting. It was in UCF, University of Central Florida. And I presented there with my co-founder, Anchanto. And our message was to make them aware of the importance of voting and importance of 18 to 24 age group voting. So I gave them a statistic and I had the numbers. I'm engineer by education, so I like numbers. So I told them that, do you know that 4,300 of you were registered for the last election and 46% of you decided not to vote. The fact that you register, it shows that you're interested in it. But the fact that 46% of you didn't vote tells me there is something wrong. Maybe you guys were busy with spring break. I was just kidding with them. And then what we did, we asked, it was my co-founder's idea. She said, it was evening. She said, let's turn all the lights out in this auditorium. They did. And then she said, the last row, please put on your phones and pull out and put the flash on. So one person's put the flash on, then the next. Then she said, okay, the next row. And when it all ended, the whole room was full of flashlights. Imagine, just imagine. And she said, any wave, these kinds of waves start with one in the back. But when everybody follows, this is what happens. There is light. And I'm telling you, it was a rainy night. Almost 100 people came in. We did not say there is going to be drinks or coffee or food. They just came out of curiosity. When the meeting ended, I told them, all I want you to do is this thing. One person, please tell two other friends of yours, because those two will tell two more. And these two, this one will tell two more. And then you do the multiplication, 6 becomes 9, and it is then permutation and combination, and it's arithmetic. And the feedback we got was very encouraging. And I'm hoping that we are meeting with them again next week before the election. So the point is, we got to create this emotional appeal. And not one person, but we need to create a wave. So, and these people want to do it. They absolutely want to do it. But we have to give them a reason to do it. We have to give them the emotional push. And we have to just bring them all together. So that's what we are doing with the two generational
I really love what you said, the emotional connection and the real reason to push, right? Obviously, if the people are not motivated, why do they think that they have to put their time to research or to vote or even
Correct.
take a minute of their life if that doesn't make any sense for them, especially whoever the viewers are listening, especially elderly, go vote for your grandkids, go for the community for the future, right? Just example, the immigration is a huge topic, obviously, with the visa backlogs to the Indians, especially, we've been struggling and fighting 15, 20, 30 years. We've been waiting for this family visas, and the employment based. And there is a reason for us. That is the emotional connection. That's the reason you have to vote,
Yes.
So there's more reasons like that. And especially the youngsters, they are interested, they're registered, but now you need to connect. There is topics like the hate crimes that doesn't stop anybody, based on the color, based on the nation. Like we are dealing all this race and other issues, So let's look at it in general, at large, Asian Americans, what exactly we are going through, and do some research on the candidates who you are voting and take time, not just casting the vote for properly for the right candidate who you think that the policies are matches to you, what you want this nation to be in future. So let's to end this, I guess, the conversation today. What is the message you want to leave the viewers, especially Indian Americans who are looking at this show, who want to, let's go out there and vote this week. And we have 1 week before the election night, and can't wait to hear the results regardless. And your job here is just to motivate and see that Asian Americans can take this opportunity to vote. And so the voice can be heard.
Sure. I would say this. Indians, right? I'm an Indian. I came here 46 years ago. The country I saw when I came here is a little bit of a different country than what I see today. And there are several reasons for it. And it is time for us not to be silent observers. It is we are educated, we are smart, there are several CEOs who are Indians now. The thing that we need to do is get really mad, MAD, make a difference. We have to decide to get mad. And the only way we can, what should I say, push our will is by to go out and vote. I'll end this with very simple example.
Get
Look at
angry.
this.
Mad and angry. Are they both the same?
Mad, I always say, let's act mad. ACTMAD, right? So what I would say is this. We have reached a stage where silence is no longer good. We are at a stage where intellectual discussion is not good. Being intellectually smart means nothing if we don't elect the leaders that we want to see in office. And let's just decide. Let's vote in droves and make a difference. So that is my plea. And I'm willing to talk to anybody who doesn't believe in what we're just talking about here, because that's how important it is. You have to do it as if your life depended on it. So with that,
That's
I want
true.
to say, go vote early, if not on the 8th, and let's make it happen.
It's great conversation. Thank you for encouraging the community. We have to keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully, more people are inspired from your moment. We'll take it to the next level. And whoever listening, if you're registered to the vote, please go vote. If not early, on the day of the election on November 8th. And with that, I just want to conclude this conversation. Thank you, Mr. Cam, again for with a very short notice, you could able to join this evening. With that, I also want to tell that Sakshi TV or the viewers, like this is a non-partisan. Just this is the show just to educate the community and have a conversation about the power of the vote. Vote is your voice, and we Indians have to go through so much, especially with the immigration. Don't sit silent and worry about it. We need to have a representation. This is the only way we can do this. So let's vote. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Khan.
you. Thank you.